brake saga is finally over. So we now have the diff lines done. The new flaring tool is working awesome. Flares look a shit ton better. That's what we've ended up with. So yeah, they've come up pretty good. And then yeah, now they run to the right spot with that T-block there. And yeah, everything's out of the way. It's protected. It's on the back side of the axle. It's not hanging up above it or anything, with the potential of getting hit or knocked by anything. So yeah, it's come up pretty good. So now I've just got to do some brackets, figure them out, just because this line isn't going to hug the tube like it was, and those brackets are pretty cactus anyway. As you can see, that one's all bent out, and yeah, better off doing something decent. So I'll sort that out, and that should have that done. But yeah, that's pretty much it for brake lines, so that's good. Now the flaring tool that I've got now works a treat. We are golden. So on to the next job. Something a little bit different tonight, besides standing out in the dark like a dickhead. After all these years, Pop's finally given me the go ahead to close the end wall of this shed in. So I've been wanting to do it pretty much since we did the Corolla, which was probably 8-9 years ago, just in this spot here. So you can imagine how great that would have been. There is a fair bit of shit in the way, like old brackets and beams and stuff. And like this corner pole's copped an absolute hiding over the years, so it's got metal wrapped around it and all that sort of shit. So yeah, managed to get it up there with the help of the old trusty EWP there, and a ladder that's probably wobblier than a walk home from the pub. So I didn't fall off it, I didn't die, so we've had a win. And yeah, so pretty much all we need to do now is get a centre pole, because that definitely won't work the way it is. I have to organise one of those, get it mounted to the ground. I've already drilled the holes in the centre for them to be bolted through like the rest of the shed. And yeah, just sort of getting ready for maybe one day when we get tinned. It's a step in the right direction anyway, and it makes this end bay of the shed a lot more usable than what it has been. Not quite the handyman, but fuck, we'll make it work. It's turned out pretty good. So it looks fairly square and fairly level and not out of whack too much. As hard as it was, because there is no straight or equal measurement on this shed at all. So just making it work. It is a bit hesh and undies. It definitely isn't my better work, but yeah, it should handle a light breeze anyway. Yeah, so centre pole, pretty much just bolt it through the concrete there, and then yeah, just a couple of pieces of angle iron. Still got to get the bolts to actually go through the pole itself. Pretty much bolt it through the centre as is, and then the top I actually had to notch out because of this framework here. And yeah, made all that fit. And then what I actually did was bolted through this bottom tube here, which now secures the top of the pole, and then the top actually bolts through to the top timber. So that will, yeah, now mount the tin work. So that's pretty much it for this job anyway. Now what I can do is, yeah, once we put the wall up on this side, take the tarp down, move the truck over, and then I should be able to paint it. So I wasn't going to, but I decided it was pretty bad, and ended up wire wheeling this whole zigzag beam up here with the grinder, with the wire wheel. So yeah, a little bit deadly, but we made it work. So this is all now cleaned up. It was all pitted to shit, and yeah, it was definitely showing its age. So now I've yeah, cleaned it up, cleaned it down, and then etch primed it, and then put a galvanized zinc over the top. Yeah, this should keep it in a lot better nick anyway, even though yeah, it's going to be pretty protected now due to the tin going to be on the outside. It's still worth doing now than later. That's going to be it for out here for a while, until yeah, I either put tin on or I put a tarp up. So business is booming, and the old meth lab had to get a bit of an extension, so dodgy as all fuck. But anyway, I've got a bit of a usable area now. It is good to at least see it closed in a bit, just for now, even if it's not permanent. This will only be till the tin turns up, and then I'll be straight into trying to get that strapped on and at least close that wall in. The front, I haven't quite decided what I'm actually going to do yet, because it's a bit hard with this fella hanging its ass out in the yard. So makes it a little bit difficult, but yeah, I'll figure that out when I get to it. After last night's glorious efforts underneath this thing, now onto the fuel tank. So anyway, we've got this crusty shit heap. I started cleaning up all the oil and grease and shit all over it from all the years. Yeah, started scraping it so that I can just quickly sand it. This nice coloured shit right here, that's actually from in the tank. So inside the tank's not overly exciting, but anyway. So yeah, there's a bit there, there's some out in the yard, and there's probably still a bit left in it. So I probably should be cleaning that out before I paint the tank, but I'm going to be stupid and do it the other way, and then sort out cleaning the tank once I come up with a plan. Anyway, I'll stop talking and get this shit done.
Just a fatal vision, left to turn your back to rust, and the lines grow ever thinner between things that I can't trust, and that path forsaken, just like those people we kill with words we say, just because we're better off that way. Maybe we should write it out in blood. Blessed are these words.
This is the tank all cleaned up now. It's cleaned up pretty good. I haven't found any really sort of bad spots, so that's a bonus. Yeah, so it's just a matter of now tidy up a few of these areas where they've decided to just fucking go hammer and tongs on it and make shit fit. And yeah, I'm not 100% sure why they have. I might try and refit it underneath, possibly, just to see if these need to be here. But then again, I'm probably not going to worry about trying to straighten sort of this damage out. That's fucking quite a bit of work in itself. So yeah, so for the rest of it though, it's all looking pretty good. And I've just got to put the outlet for the fuel pump somewhere. So this is the rear of the tank. So I can either put it right at the back here, which could work, or if I wanted to, maybe try and do something here, seeing this is the actual sump of the tank. But the only thing I'm not too keen on is having it there and then having a line underneath, and if something did come up and hit the tank, it also hits your line. So I could possibly run a piece of steel tube along the bottom. That could also work. And then that'll protect it, so it'll hit the steel tube. So yeah, we've got a few options to figure out. But yeah, I've got to figure them out pretty soon because yeah, shit needs to be painted. Hopefully by tonight we have everything painted and job's on. So see how it goes.
And when the innocence is gone, will the words forever change? It feels my lines of resolution always seem to come out framed. And is it all for nothing? Don't let me turn away, just kill with words we say, just because we're better off that way. Maybe we should write it out in blood. Blessed are these words, just beyond my touch. I love no laughter anymore, no release from misery. For one who's tried so hard and failed at every step, I've been on chances.
Diff and everything, it's all painted up, come up pretty good. So everything I've needed to paint has been painted for the moment, so I can now put the lines on it. And then yeah, moving up, done the chassis all the way along and a couple of touch-ups underneath the cab. That's pretty much right for hard lines, putting the fuel pump setup on for good. A few good coats as well on this one, and yeah, it's come up pretty good. So it's should look pretty good underneath there. It's now all sealed, protected, and should be a good thing. So I just got to try and clean all the shit out of the inside and come up with an idea to get most of the loose shit and whatnot out of the tank, just so that we're not picking fuel pumps off every time we go to drive the thing. My bracket to hold the fuel pump setup, which is there, so that's all painted now, ready to bolt on. Now I can start putting things back together. Fuel pump setup, so it's all permanently bolted in. So yeah, the bolts just run through, tie everything together, and bolt the little bracket on the back as well. So that's all done. Put the plug on the wiring. That's all now waterproof. There's no issue there. So that should keep everything Mickey Mouse. And yeah, it's just a matter of, I want to put a little bit of seam sealer just around here, just to fill in the gaps and keep this nice and tight. And then yeah, that should be pretty much right to bolt in. Yeah, got some new bolts and stuff. So got the two big fellas for the top, one for the rear. Job's done a little bit from the other night. So lines are all in, mounted, finished up, fuel pump setup's in, mounted, same deal. Everything's in, permanently finished. So I just got to do the return line once the tank's in. And yeah, lines are in, all mounted, everything's nice and solid. And yeah, it's looking really good. So pretty happy with that. And then yeah, all the lines running to the rear, looking pretty good. I just got to bolt the ones on over the diff, and then that should be pretty much right. Tank's still here, as you can see. Bit crusty inside. I should have done it before I painted it, but I had paint on the go. Yeah, it's just worth doing while I had the paint running, and I ended up putting the fitting in it and all that sort of shit. So it is what it is. All I'll do is I'll figure out how I'm going to clean it, and then probably wrap it up, shake it, do whatever I'm going to do. And yeah, the black will stay on there anyway. So also, the old man's dropped off the tin for the end of the shed there. So cheers the old man for that. So it's just a matter of get that up, trimmed to match the slope of the roof. Get all that screwed on, and yeah, we should have a solid end wall. What we're doing is back on the fuel tank. So got a piece of hose on here with a bolt in it. I've got Glad wrap with the original breather and tank sender. Everything's blocked off, and yeah, I've got myself a little funnel, built myself a little bit of a spill tray in case I do spill a little bit, because I've ended up buying some KBS stuff. So this is the fuel tank sealer kit. So I've never tried it before, but it looks like a pretty good thing, and I have seen bits and pieces of it, and it looks like it does the job pretty well. So yeah, bought the whole kit, which is, yeah, you start with their cleaner. I think it's just a 1-to-1 mix, and then you go with their rust blast, same thing. So yeah, you do that one, drain it out, do that one, drain it out, obviously turn it and do all that for a little while. And then yeah, you tip this in, which is actually like a, I'm going to say it's pretty much just like a zinc paint, but yeah, it's meant to be fuel resistant and all that sort of shit. So basically you tip that in there, swish it all around, run it up and down the tank, and then drain the excess out, which I don't know if there's really going to be because this tank's pretty big, but yeah, and basically that just lines the tank, and you let it set, and basically you've got yourself a good tank again. So what I'm going to do now is, I'm probably not going to show you how to do it because you can go online and find 20 videos on it, but what I'm going to do is make a start on it and touch in bit by bit to see how it all goes. Hopefully it goes alright, hopefully I don't spill any on the paint. It's the only problem with painting it first, just because yeah, this stuff obviously strips shit off. So anyway, we'll get into it and yeah, see how it goes. So the first round of the tank clean is now pretty much done. So that was the aqua clean. So yeah, as you can see, water is pretty brown. So originally when I flushed it the other day, it was coming out clear. Well, this has picked everything off the walls, and yeah, it seems to be working pretty good. So I'll let this drain a bit more, and then I'll probably start unwrapping it, or untaping it, whatever you want to call it, and see how it looks inside. And then we'll get on to rust blast. So this is the next step. So I'll do the same thing again. This time I've definitely got to make sure everything's really sealed, because this has actually got a acid in it, so it's probably not going to help the paint if I get that on there. Aqua clean, a little bit different. So yeah, a little bit on the paint probably doesn't hurt. As you can see, it's a bit frothy, so yeah, make sure you got a couple of containers, and yeah, we'll see what it looks like inside in a bit. That's the black shit that's come out of it, and yeah, it's done a pretty good job. It's not perfect, but for how bad this tank was, so if you can see in there, that's pretty bloody good. There you go, try and get it to focus. So yeah, then the bottom, it's all clean. it's definitely surprised me a bit. So yeah, that was only the first round. So I had to go at it once, and then flushed it out, and then I wasn't quite happy with it, so I decided to do it again, and yeah, it's ended up with a lot better result. So I've just pressure washed it to lift all the loose shit off. So now it's not going to be 100% because this tank is very hard to get into. What I'll do is, yeah, seal it back up, get it all ready, tip this shit in there, do the same process, and then tip it out, and we should be pretty much right to then leave it. So hopefully, yeah, I may even put the air through it just to try and dry it out. Well, give it a head start anyway. It's definitely not going to be dry tonight. But yeah, I'm going to leave it overnight, and then it should be dry enough. Well, should be perfectly dry by tomorrow, and then we can actually put the tank sealer in there, and that will be job done. So pretty impressed so far, and that's only first stage. So we'll see how the second stage goes. Moving on a little bit, we're now on the third stage of this tank. So it's now the next day. Last night finished up with the rust blast, and basically that just gets the last of the shit out of there. It looks like it's nicely etched anyway. So there was just a little bit of stuff still left in there, stuff that's just finally released that I couldn't get to last night, and from me moving it, it's just fallen off. So got rid of the last of that, and then yeah, it was a little bit dusty because I dried the tank out. So I ended up having to use a bit of Prepsol just to try and clean the surface, just to make sure it wasn't just a film of dust over the whole lot, because nothing will stick to that. So that's all done. So now I'm going to mix up the tank sealer. I'm going to put that in, get all that swashed around, and then drain out the excess, do as it asks. And then, yeah, we should be pretty much right with this tank. We've had some bits turn up, thanks to Sammy Damage, so Mr. Wolfle Damage himself. So he brought some parts back because he's over Geelong way. So he fired the big chicken truck up and threw my bits in as well. And yeah, we've now got some parts for this thing. So first up, we've got a bumper now. So pretty happy with this. This is a nice, honest, straight bumper. There's no dings, there's no bends, gouges, nothing. So with a bit of a polish up, I reckon this will clean up more than well enough. To do any better, you're probably up for a rechrome, but that won't need it, I don't think. I reckon just polish it up, it'll come up more than well enough for this truck. I don't like the newer style dent side ones, they look a bit shit in my opinion. So yeah, these I definitely, it was good to find ones. We've got some scuff plates. Didn't have any when I bought the truck, so these should clean up pretty good and do the job. Also, we've got these little cups here. So the truck come with plastic ones, but they're all smashed up and no good. So it's good to find these metal ones. They're getting a little bit hard to find now too. So we've got them. I'll clean them up. Also, we've got a nice dash pad, and yeah, it looks pretty good. So that should clean up all right. I'll probably put something on it to hopefully soften it up and to clean it, and hopefully that won't crack. I will be putting a probably dash mat on it, but the main thing is to have the pad itself not cracked and trashed first. So good to find a good one of those. Also, finally, we now have a rear shaft for this truck to suit Dana 70. So it'll be getting a new uni and all that sort of stuff, paint and the whole deal, and that should be pretty good. The only problem is this looks nice. It's all painted and whatnot, and I went to all the trouble putting the centre bearing on. Some dickhead obviously didn't check to see the length of it, because he thought that it come out of an F350. It's probably going to go into an F350 and fit. Well, that doesn't fucking work, does it? Fortunately, this is the right shaft. So, as you can see, there's quite a bit of length difference in it. I should have checked, but I didn't. And here we are. So, it is what it is. Luckily, yeah, the front shaft is thrown in, so this is the right length one I need. Also, it's slip yoke, so this is correct. The only thing is, this was all covered in dirt and shit and packed to the brim full of old mate's driveway. And that surface there hasn't got me very excited for the seal on the back of the gearbox, so possibly might need a new yoke for it. We'll be getting a new uni, of course. But yeah, we'll go from there. So yeah, and I thought it was a bolt-on style uni, so it's got the big bolt through the middle, and it's like a coupler, but obviously it's not the right one. So I've got straps for the tank out. So I'm not far off bolting the tank in. I've just glued some rubber to the bottom, so the tank's not just rubbing steel to steel. And just gives it a bit of a sort of soft padding to sit on, bit of a cushion. So that'll go in soon. I may have to fiddle around with brackets because the original setup was a little bit ordinary. So I may have to give that a look, but we'll get there when we do. I've ended up getting straight into it and getting them a lot further and closer to being ready to put on when we need them. So here's what we've ended up with. The front bumper, it's all painted on the rear, just in the mastic black, same as what's underneath the truck. So I cleaned up with the wire wheel on the grinder and then blew it down, gave it a quick prep sole and then painted it. Beauty of this stuff, it doesn't need a perfect surface. It's actually built to go over a little bit ordinary of a surface. Doesn't need to be the perfect bare metal prepped awesome surface that most stuff needs. Yeah, it's a pretty durable paint. So yeah, it was getting pretty pitted on the back and flaky rust and shit. So this has tidied it up, even though no one will see it. It's that little bit more further you go to make a decent job out of it. And this should now last another 50 years. So front shaft is now painted. I ended up putting the centre bearing on this one. Absolute nightmare. I've had it on and off 20 times. Because everybody's built a centre bearing and they've all built them differently. The original ones have like a big tin plate that goes over to keep the dust out. I tried them. Works out there's two different types, and this is sort of what I mean. So the inside flange of that one's about that big, where that one's almost double the thickness. But they still don't work. They give you the shits. And then that centre bearing also comes with this spacer. Tried that. That just pushed it further down the shaft. Doesn't really need to be. And yeah, you need it further back because it actually has a slight taper, so that the further along it goes, the tighter it gets.
Yeah, boy.
That's why I've done that. So we've now got to the point where I've ended up chucking one of these on. So this is actually on the centre bearing that was on this shaft originally when I got it the other day. So what I've ended up doing is chucking one on there, basically just to shield the open part of the bearing on the rear. Front side, the locking flange does that on the front side, so that should be more than fine. It looks like shit. Looks like it's got a massive gap and there shouldn't be, but that's pretty much where it needs to be. And it's going to protect the bearing and hopefully make it last, because you can't service these, you can't grease them or anything. They're basically just a run and done sort of bearing. So yeah, fuel tank sitting here ready to go. I've just had to clean up a few things, glue a couple of bits of rubber on there just so it's not metal against metal. And yeah, just got to kit this tank out now. So this is the new fuel sender. So this would originally be if you're running a pump on the actual motor. Yeah, you'd use this as is, but what I've done is gone and put electric one on there because, you know, I'm an idiot. But anyway, so this now isn't the pickup, so hence why I've taken the mesh off. This is actually now the return for the reg. So what's going to happen is it's going to come in through and then go down. I've just extended it so it's not sitting out of the fuel, because yeah, the experts usually say to try and keep it submerged so it doesn't stir the fuel up. It won't matter too much with this because it's a pretty big fucking tank and the pickup's a fair way away, but also it's carby, so it won't be too bad. But EFI usually they tend to promote submerging the return. But anyway, so yeah, brand new one of these. So the other one was trash, there was no point trying to savour it. So yeah, at least we know that the fuel gauge should definitely work. So that's that one. Comes with a new locking ring and seal. So the seal is not exactly the easiest thing to buy, so or make if you're gonna. So yeah, bought them. Bought another one because I'm going to use the original breather. It seems to still work, so I'm going to chuck that on, and if I find something better I will put that on, but I think for now that'll be fine. So yeah, so that's all from the West Coast F100. So yeah, he's definitely got a good amount of stock there. Definitely comes in handy when you're building F-trucks. So what's going to happen now is that's all going to go into there, and then that's going to go under there, and hopefully that's alright. Yeah, good to new parts, look.
Still beyond my touch.
attempts and a couple of bits made up and whatnot, we finally have a fuel tank. So it's pretty good because this thing hasn't really had the fuel tank in it for 2 years now. Time has got on, projects do that. There's a million things holding it up, is what it is. So anyway, it's been good because that tank was pretty bad. Well, you saw how bad it was. It looked like it was full of bush gravel, the amount of rust and shit that was in it. And going from that old shitty tank to what we've got now, which is, yeah, nicely clean inside, painted inside, well, lined, whatever you want to call it, painted outside, breathers redone, new sender, all that sort of shit. And yeah, I think it's come up pretty good. So this is what it looks like from the top anyway. So at the moment, I've just got tape over the fill hole, just because I haven't got that set up finished yet. I've got to do a few things to sort that out, and we might even change that anyway. Also, the other tape's just holding the vent hose on. I've sort of just glued it there, and that should be enough to keep it in there. Also goes under these cross members, so it's not like it's going to go anywhere. But anyway, so yeah, that's what we've got. And then underneath, looking pretty good. So yeah, there's not much room for tail shafts or anything, but there should be enough to get the job done. Pretty much all I got to do now is shorten up the sender wires because they're slightly too long. Probably because I've gone out of a different spot in the loom now. So I'll shorten them up and that'll get them right. And then I've this return line, I've got to decide what I'm doing. So problem is it's going along there, which I thought was all good. But then yeah, it's sort of got to go over, and it's got to go over this ledge here, and then sort of cut a U-ey and go like that. But yeah, it makes it sit up and look shit, and I don't really want that just sitting there flapping around. So I might have to do something different with it. Possibly if I can find some clips that actually go over the flange here, and then sort of have like a loop to hold a hose, I might be able to run along that edge there and then actually go along just straight into the sender. So we'll wait and see. Anyway, that's tank in. See what tomorrow brings. Finishing up the tank on the tow truck with the KBS tank repair kit. So it's round 3, stage 3, whatever it is, has been in there. This is probably going to show how far behind I am with these videos and whatnot, but it's probably been a good year and a half. Yeah, fuel's been in it the whole time. As you can see, there's probably a fair bit fucking going on behind me, but anyway, that's a future project. So yeah, you'd think I'd finish the tow truck. Fucking yeah, nah. Anyway, so tank wires with the fuel in there. So it's probably had 10 or 15 litres in there. So it looks like it's stained, but that's just the way the different colours sort of work with the coating. But anyway, I haven't really seen any change with it, and it's had fuel in it the whole time, so pretty happy with it. Definitely rate the stuff. So if anyone else is sort of in the same situation, definitely worth doing. So KBS tank repair, definitely a must. Pretty happy with it, so carry on.